All right. First of all, good morning to everybody. Hope everybody's up. Hope you're up, getting ready for your day. Uh have a good day. That's the first thing I want to say. Next I wanna talk about how again I'm talking about my process, but this time this is good news. Not such a it's not such a downer with the other news, which is, it can kind of be a little bit of a downer, I know. And, if you think it's a downer, hearing about it, try going through it. That's another animal. But I went through Amazon's process and I got done. I start tomorrow. And boy, oh boy, am I glad to be back in the working industry. You know, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, it's going to be some wonderful, you know, mind blowing experience. That they have their, I did rideshare, so I know that they have their cameras, they got, all kinds of stuff. But going in, my mind state is to be, number one, to be a good driver, to stay off the radar, to go the speed limit. You can't lose going the speed limit. It's you pay attention to the road like you should be doing anyways. You know, go the speed limit. Keep my distance with between me and the vehicle in front of me, and just be cautious. Because I'm stepping into a little bit of a new lane right now. I'm stepping into. I'm going from a 1099 driver into an Amazon driver. So I'm no longer just you get your car, you can make all the money you want, and then you worry about the expenses. Now I'm driving somebody else's vehicle. So that's different. It's a little bit of a different concept, So now, it's, I guess, for one, people look at it like, well, there's Amazon. Well, for me, I have a plan. And for me, I'm looking down the road at UPS, and I want to condition myself for this job at Amazon before if and when I do decide to go to UPS. And that's the important part of the whole thing, because I want to make sure I mention that, that it's not like it's a plan to go to UPS, but it is an option. Get that work experience. I'm a DOT driver now. Got my chauffeur's license, so now I'm definitely in a different ball game than rideshare. And that rideshare, as I said before, was its own animal. And it was its own animal. I'm not gonna go into that. It was its own animal. But I am glad to be in Amazon, and glad to be kind of doing their thing, and I don't know, and just a part of that environment, and I hope that it's a good experience, 'cause I've worked a lot of places, and it's just been a lot of It's been a lot, it has been a lot. But we'll see. We will definitely see. But yeah, I'll probably I'm gonna do a few things today, and then I gotta get to bed. Man, I still got a while. I don't have to be at training till 8, but I definitely want to. I definitely want to. I want to make sure that I want to make sure I'm ready. That's definite. I want to make sure I'm ready. I want to make sure that I'm, uh, definitely make sure I'm up, because that would suck if I woke up late. I lost a job before I even got it. But I go to training. I go to training tomorrow and Friday. And then I'm not sure if they put you in a vehicle right after training or not. Not really sure, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm definitely excited about the process. Seeing just seeing how that goes, and what the Amazon job entails. I see a lot of people doing it, so it's like, I'm definitely beyond sure that I can do the job. It's an easy job. You're just delivering. You just got to watch your traffic and everything. But hey, I hope everybody's having a good day. And I wanted to get on here and share that information, because it was given my process, which has been what I was. As a matter of fact, today marks a month from when I found out I was deactivated with Lyft. Marked a whole month. So I'm starting one day after that. I mean, that's not bad for finding a job. And also, my system worked. Again, where you save my money, and I save it until a situation like this happens. And then I'm not really in a position where I have to scramble to get something, because I have, I have stuff in place that'll keep me, that'll kind of keep me grounded, for the time being. So that's a good thing. I think, whoever, my mom, dad, whoever, a guy, Mr. Reed Downing, he passed. I thank all those people for instilling in me, to save money, save money, and money will save you. And it definitely has done a deed, with my car payments and rent and other stuff. It has been it's been a wild ride. Definitely has been a wild ride, but yet again, I made it through. So thank you to, I appreciate the listeners that have been around through this process. The show still goes on, don't get me wrong. But this episode here, this one episode this marks the ending of that process and into a new journey. So thank you. I appreciate you listening, and I will see you in the next episode, or talk to you in the next episode.